I really pay attention. Maybe it's my age. I mean, it did take me a long time to learn this lesson. I certainly didn't live this way in the first 40 years of my life. I know that for a fact. But when I had I like to call it my nervous breakthrough, I realized that life was too short, like I was just too much of a people pleaser.
Welcome to the Fun and Bliss Show,
where fun is our practice.
and bliss is our lifestyle.
I'm Monique.
And I'm Monica.
This is a show to help you laugh louder,
Dance more often,
savor the silly and sacred alike,
and turn fun into a blisscipline.
so we can live lives of more ease, love, prosperity, and joy.
Let's go!
Hi, I'm Monique.
And I'm Monica.
Welcome to the Fun and Bliss Show.
So, Monique, tell us what you did for fun today.
I had this incredible hike with my husband this morning. We dropped our daughter off because she's gone to do a college tour with her school. We had to drop her off by 6, and then we went on this hike up to the Griffith Park Observatory in LA. Saw the sunrise. It was absolutely beautiful. So fun. I know you're
I
not a big
love
hiker,
that.
but I love hiking. And then with the
No,
sunrise,
yeah.
it was amazing.
And I never
Okay.
want to be up early enough to see a sunrise, just so you know.
That's the wonderful thing about fun. It doesn't, your fun can be your own. So what did
That's
you do for
exactly
fun?
right. That's exactly right. Fun is different for each of us. So for
Yeah.
me, I today had a meeting with an investor for my movie, The Christmas Rescue. And he has decided that he wants to fund us for 5 times more than I asked for.
Oh my gosh. That's
Could you
amazing.
imagine? It was literally, that's why I was a little bit late this morning, when we were getting ready to talk. Oh my God. So he's like full on, and he's like looking for Indian actresses to play me. Oh my God. It was so
Wow.
much fun, you know?
Woo!
And
That is hot. I love it.
yeah.
Well, oh my goodness. Well, now and then we had an incredible conversation. So today's conversation, an interview, was so fun. So we sat down with Joeaux Robey, who's the founder of Solopreneur, and someone who truly embodies what it looks like to build a life and body of work that feels alive. She's currently in the middle of her own year of fun, and she's also the creator of a concept that I love called plurk, which is play plus work, and blurred, and it just makes you giggle and is so brilliant. It's the idea that work doesn't have to be separate from joy and play, and that play actually makes everything flow better. So this was an incredible conversation where we talked about uh, bliss and fun and plurk and working as a spiritual entrepreneur. And I feel like this episode is like a permission slip to lighten up, to love your life, to trust what feels good, to not take yourself too seriously. That joy is not a reward, it's part of the path. So let's
Yeah.
go.
So let's get to it. So, Joy, what does living a blissful life mean to you in real everyday terms?
Wow, that's a good question. Because bliss is, for me, it's like this sense of peace, and the ability to have peace no matter what is happening in your life. So, like right now is a true test, not with you and Monique, no, in the world. Right now is like a true test of living a blissful life. Like, are you able to, despite all of the things happening around you, are you able to still pull out all of the good and be grateful? Because everything to me comes back to gratitude. And so I think that, despite all of the, everybody wants to pull you into the drama. Like if you, any media that you turn on, any social media that you turn on is trying to pull you into that. And if you are in a place of bliss, you're not really affected by it. And it took me a long time to figure that out because I haven't always been in this space. I mean, I have been a, type A soccer mom. Nothing against that, but I've been there where everything was important. Everything had to be perfect. Kids had to be perfect. House had to be, everything had to be perfect. And then I just realized that wasn't fun. That was somebody else's idea, I think, sometimes.
How'd you get out of that?
I had a nervous breakdown.
That's
I
fine.
learned, yeah, I learned that your body is talking to you all the time. And it will tell you, like I like to think of I know my name is Joy, even though it's not spelt that way. But I like to think of my body as like a joy barometer. Because when I feel something in my body that doesn't feel right, and that's not to say I have to always be up. I don't think that that's what it's about. But when I get that like little knot in my stomach, or my shoulders start feeling really tense, or I'm finding myself using the word should a lot, I really pay attention, and maybe it's my age. I mean, it did take me a long time to learn this lesson. I certainly didn't live this way in the first 40 years of my life. I know that for a fact. But when I had I like to call it my nervous breakthrough, I realized that life was too short, like I was just too much of a people pleaser. I thought you had to work really hard to achieve anything. And it was taking me out of life, trying to live up to this idea that somebody else had that, by the way, did not include fun. Like, it did not include laughter. It did not include, moments of just like giggling to myself because I read a cartoon that was so funny. It did not include those small moments because I was too uptight.
I love what you said about living in gratitude and the way that there's so many ways for us to not be joyful, right? There's so many reasons that social media, all kinds of media give us. And I like how you talk about your body barometer and also the gratitude piece. I call gratitude the master key of bliss. And I think what you really pointed out to us, Joy, so eloquently is that we can move through those things and use our body to tell us when it's time to move through those things. When I hear news or stuff, I literally cramp. And so that's my signal to move through it. So thank you so much for sharing that. We've never really talked about our body as a joy barometer. I love that.
Yeah, I actually have in my house a plaque that says gratitude is the abracadabra of the universe.
It is. I love that.
And people quote me as, Joeaux Robey said this. I don't know where I got it. It just came to me, I mean, somebody else said it. I did not make it up. But it just resonated so much for me because, again, a lesson I learned. I went through periods of my life where I wasn't grateful. In fact, I was resentful, even though I had achieved and I had all of these things, things that society says is success, right? I was not grateful. I wasn't grateful. I was resentful. I felt like I was carrying the world on my shoulders. And the minute that I learned that there was no such thing as failure, that failure is just good feedback, and that when you're grateful if you can find the gratitude in every single thing that happens, your life just gets lighter. You're living a blissful life. I mean, that's how easy it is.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Simple,
I
not
love
always
that.
easy, but so good. I love that. So, Joy, I know that you're in the middle of your year of fun, and you started September 12th on your birthday. What are
Ooh.
you doing for fun these days? What do you do for fun during your fun, your daily fun?
Well, before I answer that question, I have to actually tell you that so first of all, Monique was doing, she had just finished 365 Days of Fun. And I thought, and my birthday was coming up. And I thought, what a great idea. And I can't tell you that in the moment I knew why it was a great idea. I just thought, to name it and establish it as a daily thing was just like, how much more awesome could it get, right? And so I had this whole picture in my mind that I was going to have this whole social media campaign, and every day I was going to post something fun, and I was going to show the world that, my life every day is so much fun. And all of a sudden, a couple of things happened. One, I realized that when I'm having fun, I am fully present. Like, it is really hard for me. And my kids have given me a hard time for years because I'm not good at taking pictures in the moments that count. I'm always just so like, I forget about the picture. And so the first thing that happened with the posts is I did this whole workup. It was going to be part of social media because I'm very goal-oriented and very project-oriented.
We didn't get that impression at all.
Fair, so I had this whole idea, right? I did not even make it to day 2. I had so much fun on the first day, my birthday. And what I realized was that I already had a life of fun. Like, every day was fun because that decade earlier, I had learned, even though I may not have put them in the same beautiful context that Monique did, I learned that every day, you need every day. Well, need isn't the right word, but, when you're paying attention to what's happening in your life and you're not living by default, you can actually choose to have fun in so many moments. So I realized that I was already having fun. And the way that I knew that was because some of my girlfriends, when I declared I was going to have fun, they sent me these beautiful gifts of things to have fun with, like paints. And I'm an artist, so I naturally gravitate towards those things. But what I realized was that when I was having the most fun, I was actually with somebody. And it was being reflected back to me. So, like, I can sit and draw, and I can go out and go for a run, and I can do a lot of things that I do on a daily basis, even my work, that I consider fun, and not really think about it as being fun, only because I'm not willing to not have fun. Okay, so I was thinking about it in that context. But when I started thinking, okay, every day I need to have a fun thing, I realized that I was already doing that. But the key was with somebody. So, like, you can have fun in a lot of ways, but when you're laughing and someone is laughing harder because you're laughing and you start laughing even harder, I mean, that is fun. That reflection is fun.
Yeah. You said something so critical that I want to highlight here, Joy. First of all, fun, one of the most beautiful things about fun is that connection and the mirroring of joy. It just is irreplaceable and unbelievable and wonderful. But you said something else that I really want to highlight here, and that is that you were having fun every day already. And what I want people to hear in this moment is that we probably all are. We're just not noticing it. Right? Like, we do these little things. For me, sometimes it's just watching my dog's tail wag like he's crazy, like he lost control of his butt. Some of it is just, life is fun, but we don't notice. And we don't have to peg it and list it and put it on social media. And in some moments, we don't need to share it with anybody but our own heart. Right? But we're having fun. And one of the keys to making this the most integrated into our life, I think, is to notice that we actually know how to do that. This is not hard. It's something we do. Like, it can be a very natural piece of us. Some of us have forgotten how to have fun. I get that. And some of us are still having fun. We're just not paying attention to that, right? We're not giving it the gratitude that we should or could because it's happening, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that I know Monique. I don't know you as well, Monica, but I know Monique, and I'm sure we've all been through leadership training, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in leadership training, it's something like for every time that you're going to give some critical feedback to somebody, you give them like 5 attagirls, right?
Yeah.
It's like you really want to balance it, because the one piece of criticism is the thing they're going to hang on to, right? They're going to forget the 5 things that you told them that were great about themselves. And I feel like as a society, we've kind of come to that as well. That we don't realize that there are so many little fun moments throughout our days, and I think that once you like that was a big thing for me when I started doing the 365 days of fun, mimicking Monique, what she was doing, is realizing that, oh, I'm already having fun, and I think that it's so important for people to embrace that, because what happens? It's a ripple, right? It's like, have you ever walked down a sidewalk and someone's walking towards you and you just start smiling, right? You start smiling, you get your energy up. And then all of a sudden, even the crankiest of person will at least, they'll notice a little bit, right? And most people will light up. But I think it's that thing that, when you're having fun, that it's that ripple effect around you, and then all of a sudden you realize that the people that you like to be around the most are people like you who are enjoying life, who are having fun with life.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. What's really exciting you right now in life or work?
Do I have to just name one? Like, do I have to narrow it down to
No.
one? Okay. Because just so many.
Give it all to
things.
us.
I mean, I have a
What's lighting you
new
up?
I have a new grandbaby, and just everything, like everything that they say about being a grandparent is true plus more, and that really lights me up. And also my work. I have shifted. I've built several businesses, and I've now hired a team, and one person in particular to take over some of. I've got 5 businesses going, so she's working 3, and I'm focused on the other 2. And what lights me up are those other 2 businesses. Now I couldn't have gotten to the point where I could build these 2 businesses that I'm now building without having gone through the first 3. But just the excitement of a launch pad off of a launch pad has just been so fun. And okay, so here's why I love it. Is because before I was doing work that was for hire. I did work that helped other people. Absolutely, it helped other people, but it was more of like I was helping them build their dreams. Now I'm taking that same sort of niche and able to create my own impact off of what I was helping other people do. And so now basically what I'm doing is I'm holding space for people that I believe have great ability to make a huge positive impact on the planet. And like, how does it get any better? I mean, like, how does it get any better when you're like believing in somebody else who you look at and you think, oh, this person really has it all going on. They're really going to make a difference in the world. But they just need like a little, they don't see what you see, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like being a grandmother. It's like watching my granddaughter, learn to wave. It's like lift the hand, it's the littlest things. It kind of goes back to that fun, right? It's not about the end of the journey. It's about going along the journey on a daily basis with these people and believing in them.
Yeah. You help light workers. And you're going to give this $1 million light worker program, so helping light workers create 7-figure businesses. And I know for a lot of them, they have these huge hearts to help, but allowing themselves to receive in that way is a big challenge. So how do um, how are you doing that? What about that lights you up?
Okay, so my program is called $1,000,000 Lightworker, and it's named that for a reason. Is because a lot of, actually, this is a quote I got from Monique. It's about how people feel about money. And now you both know it takes money to make an impact. I mean, things cost money, and travel costs, like your studio, all the things that you're doing with your program, it costs money to do that. And people often think that, like with my program, I can tell right away. If someone says millionaire light worker versus $1,000,000 light worker, I already know that they are a little hung up on money, because it's not about being a millionaire. I mean, if you're going to be a millionaire, you're going to have to earn a lot more money, because the costs are so, I mean, the costs are much greater, right? But it's about, for people who really truly want to make a difference and they get stuck at that 6-figure mark, because the 6 figures is where you get, I don't know, where you start to lose confidence in yourself, because probably you're doing it all. You can't afford to hire a team. You can't afford to get coaching. You're probably doing it all. But once you get above that and you can make enough money to get enough resources, and the $1,000,000 is really resources, and you get enough money you get enough resources, you can make like such an amazing difference on the planet, because you can reach more people. So with light workers in particular, and these are spiritual entrepreneurs, they, for some reason, have this idea that if you're doing spiritual work, you can't make any money. And I've worked in I've been in marketing and business my entire life, and I've worked in a lot of different industries, and I've never seen it so apparent as in this industry. And so for me, when you have all these people who have this great heart work that they want to do, and you can teach them that it's okay to charge what you're worth, it's okay to make money on this, and now they're able to go out and make an even greater impact. I mean, that's exciting to me, because I really feel like where we are on planet Earth right now is leaning a lot more into this heart-based work. I mean, this is why we're having this conversation about fun, right? This is why we're talking about blissful life, because we know it's possible.
Actually, so I love that. And you developed this whole concept of plurk, play plus work. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Okay, so plurk, and the spelling is debatable. We had that conversation earlier. I guess spell it whatever makes you smile, right? So plurk, it isn't actually I didn't develop it. It was developed with a business partner. I think she's going to be on your show too, but Marilyn Harper. And Marilyn Harper is a channel, and she channels a being named Adironda. And hopefully everybody's still with me on that one. Okay, so Adironda was actually the one, because when I first started working with Marilyn, we were at that under 6-figure, revenue mark, where we had to do everything ourselves, and we had big ideas and big plans, and we were working our ass off. I mean, we were working like literally 12 to 20 hours a day, no weekend, no breaks ever. In fact, going from, launching an event, having the event, and as Monique knows, we traveled all over the world, having the event, and then our eventees saying, oh yeah, I'm just going to take the next day or two off to integrate, and yet we had to be back to work like right away the next day. We were so worn out that Adironda was the one that actually said to us, you guys need to plurk. This needs to be play plus work. You're taking this way too seriously, and Adironda was really the one that coined that term, and then we started using it for everything. And it really, this is the funny thing about our language. Just changing your language will start to change how you feel about everything. I like to think of it as an iceberg on the ocean. Okay, on the top of the ocean is our words. Okay, that's what's coming out. Underneath the ocean is how we feel about life. Those are all of our emotions, right? So that's everything that people can't see. So if the words that are coming out are negative or painful or, distressed or anything like that, guaranteed that our emotions are even more so, right? And Adironda knew that. And so when they came up with the word plurk, it's just one of those things that kind of make you laugh, and we would say to each other, if one of us got, the look, you're on your computer, this is like all clenched together, your shoulders are up here, you're going at it like this, right? And if either one of us was like that and we're working in the hotel room for the next thing, we would look at each other and just say, are you plurking? And it would release the tension and remind us that we weren't having fun, and to just back off. Like, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes that we don't realize that we are a pressure cooker, like we're about to explode at any moment.
Yeah, that's a great lead into the next question. How do you know when you're plurking versus pushing? Especially if there's not somebody to reflect, how do you know that where you're in
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
push,
that was
not
going to be
plurk
my
mode?
answer. Well, like if you see yourself, put a mirror up on your desk. If you're like this, whoa, stop, take a deep breath, get up and stretch. Everything for me goes back to the body. If I have a cold, I am run down. If I'm run down, I'm looking at, okay, what am I doing too much of in my life that, is not feeling right? I just go back to my body. If my shoulders are tense, if my body hurts in any way, I just, like I said, my body is a barometer, and I just ask myself, what's going on here? I think remember, I've been doing this now for a while. I've had a good 10 years of like being fully aware of the fact that we can choose to love our life and have a lot of fun. It's a choice. And for me, it cost a marriage. I had to leave a marriage to be able to change my life, or to be able to have the environment that was nurturing a life full of bliss and fun. But I really do go back to just how I feel. I'm so in tune now, even in a conversation, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, if all of a sudden I get this little, just this little like in my stomach, I kind of just take a deep breath and ask myself, what's this all about? What is this reflecting back to me, or is, just what's happening here? I think it's really important to be in tune with yourself on that level, because then you can stop and make a choice. And we have so many choices every single day that can take us in and out of plurk, if we just pay attention. And we also have to remember that our brains were designed to be on autopilot. Our little telomeres are like going like this, and they're trying to reach for each other as quickly as they can. And what that means is they're reaching for the habits, right? Because we save energy when we're using habits. And so we get into this mode of doing things habitually and not even realizing that we're doing it. However, your body is still going to tell you. That's what I mean. Like if you have a cold, ask yourself, it's not because you're around people who have viruses and things like that. We like to say all of that. But why does one person in the room not catch a cold? And why does everybody else? We have to ask ourselves these questions. And so that's how I know, is I really pay attention to my body.
Can you tell us one way that plurk shows up in a very ordinary day?
I think it's in laughter. It's in lightness. So before we started this call, Monique said, "How was your day?" And I said, "I'm having one of those great days." One of those days where I've had like 5 conversations with people about business opportunities, and they've all been really fun conversations. That's how it shows up, And sometimes, I'm not like, I don't want people to think that that we never experience anything that could be perceived as not fun. Of course we do. We live in the world. Like, step outside your door. Somebody may cut you off when you're driving or something. But ask yourself in that moment, what's happening? Like, what am I going to learn from this? Do I need to slow down? Like we have so much more control over every minute of our day than we give ourselves credit for. And when we realize that we have that control, your life completely changes. My life completely changed.
It's true. Yeah.
So you were talking about habits, right? The importance of habits, because our brains will default to what our habits are. Do you have any habits? We like to call them blissciplines, right? Those ways of those habitual behaviors that lead to a life that creates bliss, lightness, flow, joy. What are your blissciplines?
So I have, no matter what jewelry I have on, even if I have my finest jewelry on and I'm at a wedding, you will see me with this bracelet. It's just a stretchy bracelet, and it says everything is possible. And it's got my website, solopreneur.com. I hand these out to everyone. Like, if I'm on a plane and I start talking to someone, I hand them to them. The reason why is because this is so simple, and you can use any stretchy bracelet, but I'm a work in progress. I catch myself in negative thinking all the time. When I think of how many decades I was programmed, to think that, money doesn't grow on trees, or, you have to work hard in order to earn anything, like all of the things that we were raised upon, I get caught in my own negative thinking. But here's the difference, is that when I catch myself in a negative thinking, I take this bracelet and I just move it over to this wrist. Okay, this is science, not the bracelet, but this idea. So what happens in that moment, and you may have heard people talk about the same practice where they snap themselves, but I think we don't need to be in pain, You can still have the same effect. Why punish yourself? You're just trying to train yourself, So what happens is when you change wrists in that moment, it interrupts the telomere that's going up there looking. Remember, our brains are designed to save energy, right? So the reason we have those habits is because they can go like that very quickly. And so what this does is it makes your telomere go, all of a sudden it stops, and it's waiting for, like, I'm really simplifying this explanation, but it's waiting to be told what to do, and so in that moment, when you're thinking negative, you have an opportunity to just choose differently. So it's not, like, you'll hear a lot of people talk about focusing in on the negative pattern. No, you just pivot, like, as quickly as you can. That telomere is not going to find its partner, and after you've done it like 3, 4, or 5 times, you actually create a new telomere path, and that's a new habit. And that's how I do it. I mean, you'll find I'm a simpleton. Like, I use really simple practices.
I do something
Simple
very
practices,
similar.
but you're not a simpleton. So,
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Ashley, that's really important, right? Just because it's simple doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Most, it means that we can do that, right? It's
Yeah.
applicable,
Yeah.
right? Could you tell us, Joy, what your superpower is? Like, what is it that you do naturally when you're not even trying?
It's something that I had to learn to stop. And are you both familiar with human design?
Yes.
Okay.
mhm.
So I didn't understand this until I
But explain
had
it for the
somebody.
audience.
Okay,
So,
human
just in
design
case
is
somebody's,
a modality that again has to do with your body and the day and the the day and the year you were born, where you were born, a bunch of different factors, sort of like astrology. But it's a I mean the manual is like that thick. It's a practice that a reader can translate for you once you give them the data on your birth. And so I had somebody do a human design reading for me, and it really helped me understand. So here it is. I am really good. Like, if you give me an idea, a business idea, I love business. If you give me a business idea, all of a sudden I just get like a hologram of everything you can do with that business. Like, how you can make money, like your next step, everything. So that's my superpower. I've been told that other people have described it as I see the world at like 30,000 feet. Like I'm in a plane, but I'm really good at like going down like an eagle and getting in the weeds for a second and coming back up. That's one of the reasons why I like to build businesses and why I like to coach. But here's the thing. When you have that superpower, you have to sit on your hands when you talk to people, because when they tell you what they're doing, the first thing you want to do is say, "Oh, yeah, and you could do this and that and this." And I've watched people over the years, like the first suggestion, they're like leaning in, but by about the 10th, they're just they don't even want to do the business now.
They're overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even want to do it. No, here you do it, Joy. Like they're so overwhelmed. And so I learned in human design that that's actually a thing. That there are human beings like me that do that, and that I have to wait for the invitation. In other words, like if somebody tells me what they do, I say that's great, and then they say, "What do you do?" And I tell them, and then if they ask me for help, I can tell them. But I have to wait for the invitation or I'll overwhelm them. Either of you like that?
I'm like that.
oh my gosh, that's so great. Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to, next time we have a conversation, I'm gonna ask you the question. um, I'm like,
Exactly.
lay it on me, and we'll see how we go. So, from what you've seen, what do busy, capable, successful people most need to remember but often forget about themselves or life? What do people need to remember but they often
Busy,
forget?
capable people need to remember but often forget. I think again, it all comes back to fun and play. I think that especially as you climb the ladder, so to speak, and you get to a position where you're leading people and mentoring people, I think it's really important that you remember to not take it so seriously. I remember I worked at an agency, again, this was like 15 years ago, an online marketing firm, and something had happened with a client. And I was like in the bathroom throwing up. I was so upset, and my team was upset. And the CEO was actually great because he came in and we looked at the problem. And of course, we were all there ready with ideas on what we could do. And he said something that made a huge difference to this day to me. He said, "You know what? We're not saving babies from burning buildings." And so now when things happen, it kind of comes back to that. It's like, put it in priority. Put it in perspective, right? Like, how big is this thing that I'm taking so seriously? And can I back off a little bit on it? And I think that when we do that, we allow everyone around us to relax. Because we have to remember, if we're the leader, it's going to trickle down. However we are feeling, if we're excited and fun, they're going to feel that way. If we are stressed out and serious, then they're going to feel that way. And it goes back to having fun. Like, do you want to have fun at work or do you not want to have fun at work? Like, if you don't want to have fun at work and that's not important to you, there's plenty of jobs that you can have for that, you know. But if you want to have fun, you have to not take it so seriously. You have to be what was it Henry Ford said? If you can't laugh at yourself, everyone else will. Something like that, you know? It's like, you have to learn to laugh at yourself, you know? And I laugh at myself a lot. In fact, quick story of how I got on this spiritual path. One of the things that happened was, again, back to soccer mom, you know, commuting an hour and a half every day in Los Angeles, and you know, just really stressed out, right? Getting home from work one day, I've got dinner boiling on the stove, you know, kids need help with homework, and I've got this dog looking up at me like, feed me, right? And I'm thinking, you know, everything is happening at once, right? In the meantime, I've got the washing machine going and the water's filling up with sudsy soap, right? So, you know, I can multitask. So I reach down to the dog food, which is right next to the washing machine, and I scoop up a scoop of dog food and I throw it in the washing machine. If that's not bad enough, the dog gets 2 scoops of dog food. So I reach back down and I throw a second scoop in the washing machine. You know, and at this point, my kids are looking at me like, Mom lost it. The dog was looking at me like, you know, and at this point, I'm starting to smell, you know, dog food in the washing machine, like dry dog food getting wet, and realizing what's happening. And I just like stopped and I thought, something's got to change. I mean, it was such a small thing that caused me to just go, this is not how, I don't think this is how we should be living our lives. You know, especially as moms, like we don't want to be modeling that for our kids.
I love that story, Joy, because I've got a very similar story that I won't tell because yours is amazing, but I can totally relate to that. It's so good. Yeah. You know, I think one of the things that that was really key in that piece that you just shared with us was really recognition. You know, sort of this awareness and this recognition. I just put dog food in my washing machine. You know what? Probably something should change. But you know, there are a lot of people that would just start beating themselves up for that. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm this person. Look at what a space cadet I am. There's this whole thing, right? So people get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, their life has gotten heavy or it's gotten serious and they get stuck. And for someone like you, and I'd like to say myself and Monique, we are aware enough that we're like, whoa, slow down, take a look at this, figure it out, right? But what happens if people aren't that aware? What can they do? What would you say to them to help them move in that right direction, to put things a little bit more in flow and perspective, to help them kind of out of that?
That is such a great question because I'm sure, like you ladies, I see people like that all the time. And the one thing that I've learned is, remember the picture from 30,000 feet? Oh, I know exactly what you should do right now, right? I've learned to not do that. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. You know, they have to come to a point, and if they're listening to your show, they're already at that point, right? But the thing that I've found with my life is the quickest way to like lose friends is to tell them what to do. But if you model something, you're really a true model of how you live your life, they will eventually ask you how you got to where you are. They'll start asking you questions. And for me, I wish I could say that, you know, one day I was unhappy and the next day I was happy. It didn't work that way. Like it was really learning to be a new me. It was learning. I had to let go of a lot of habits and build up new habits. I did a lot of self-work. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of meditation was a huge one for me. Just learning how to get present with myself, because like the washing machine, why did I do that? I wasn't present. I'm thinking kids need help, dinner, I'm thinking all these things. And if I don't do this, what's going to happen? And I think the first step for somebody who could relate to that story is take a deep breath. I mean, just like when something like that happens, just like stop, take a deep breath, and know that, I know this is an old saying, but it is not happening to you. It is happening for you. And there's just so much truth in that. It's like you're not a victim. You're not a victim. And if you think you're a victim, well, that's where you've got to kind of go back to that understanding that you are creating your whole world. Why not make it as amazing as absolutely possible? Like if you have a choice at any given moment to stop, take a deep breath, pivot, and choose something else, even if you don't know what you want. I think that is the biggest problem most people have, Monica, is that they don't know what they want. They've never really thought about it. People have told them their whole life, this is who you are, this is what you're going to do. And they've never really truly thought about what they want. And I like to say that they live their life on default. And the minute that, just this conversation right here, like if you're hearing this for the first time and you're finding that you're that person that beats themselves up, just know that this is where you start. Just start by wanting to change.
Mm-hmm. So good.
It was I read this book by Jack Canfield when I was going through this process called Success Principles. It's a really great book, but one of them was, success number 111. And it was take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. And I say, take 150%. And then figure out what's really funny about it. Like, that's hilarious. We all know what cleaning the dog food out of the washing machine is going to be. It's not going to be fun, right? But it's funny later, and just like learn that's really, I think that is how life is meant to be lived. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to trip up. That's how we learn. Yeah. I don't keep the dog food next to the washing machine anymore.
Good call. Some real basic things that happen in those moments, right?
Or you could have put the washing detergent into the dog bowl. So,
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, that might be worse.
Yeah.
So if someone listening wanted to try one tiny experiment this week, something simple but meaningful, what would you invite them to try?
The bracelet. Like, everyone has a stretchy bracelet. It can be any stretchy bracelet. It's a good excuse to go buy yourself a rubber band. Yeah, it could be anything, but it's so simple. And the thing is, so here's what you're going to notice. When you first put it on and you start to become aware of your thinking, you're going to be like, mid-thought, you're going to be changing it back and forth so many times. You may find like the first hour you change it so many times. And it's not about changing the bracelet. It's about realizing how much negative thinking or whatever habit you're trying to break is happening that you're probably not conscious about. And because once you become conscious of it, then you can make a choice. It really is simple. For me, like, do I change the bracelet anymore? I've been wearing this for 15 years. Adirondack gave us these, this was their idea. I don't really change the bracelet anymore. I don't need to, because just like seeing it on my wrist reminds me now to keep my thinking positive, and that I always have a choice. Like, even if like we talked about that word should, right? This is like another really good reminder for people. When you find yourself saying, I have to, I need to, I should. Those are things you really don't want to do. Those are things that you feel responsible to do, or you feel like you have to do, right? And when you hear yourself say that, ask yourself, do you really have to do that? And if you do, because there are some things we have to do, right? If you do, instead, just change it to, I get to. Like, feel the honor in having, even if it's a responsibility, somebody believe enough in you so that you're not a victim. Because it's that victim state that will cause your body to feel, not great, and to have those negative habits,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Joy, this has been absolutely amazing, and we've got like 3 minutes. So I want to go through our rapid fire round to end the show, and so let's start with that. So the first question in our laser round is: what is your go-to song that will always put you into a joyful place, give you a joy boost?
Oh, my go-to song?
Mm-hmm.
What you said?
Yeah.
Gosh, I am so bad at remembering songs. You know, I would say any song that's uplifting and positive that gets stuck in my head, like just has a chorus that, pretty soon I'm humming it and it's stuck in my head. But anything like I find there's so many artists out there now singing really optimistic. I mean, even I think Apple Playlist has like happy playlists, anything from there. But what I would say about songs is have a happy playlist. Like all your songs should be happy, all of them.
Love that.
Love
Perfect.
that. What's one totally silly thing that never fails to make you laugh?
My husband, my husband is a comedy screenwriter, and he finds so much humor in everything. And I never felt funny in my life until I met my husband. He thinks everything I say is so funny, and he's always laughing. And it's that kind of laugh that he laughs, then I laugh, and we're that loud couple in the restaurant laughing in the back table. That's us.
I love
That's
that.
Monique and Peter and me and Dave too, by the way. So,
Yeah, our husbands
uh,
are like that.
so finish this sentence. Bliss for me looks like.
Like love,
Mm, I love that.
like love.
Yay. What do you feel is the most important thing for our listeners to take from this conversation? What do you hope?
That if they are not in the same frequency that the three of us are on a regular basis, like right now that we're talking about, they can be. It's like there's nothing special about me. There's nothing, it's just that somewhere along the line I read a book, and then I went down a path, and it just opened up a rabbit hole, and it was good. But it's not like I was born into any specific special thing that gave me any of the qualities I needed to be who I am today, other than the desire to be happy. And I think
Love
that
that.
I mean, can you imagine if the entire world just chose to be happy? We wouldn't have any more war, or any of these ridiculous things going on.
Yeah, I
That's why we
agree. Thank
created
you for
this
that.
show, pretty much.
It's why
Exactly.
we've created the movement. I mean,
Yeah.
we really want it to go, like an ocean out into the world. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. And thanks for all you've shared. Joy, you've been such an incredible pleasure. I'm so glad I finally got to meet you. Monique can't say enough about how amazing you guys are. Could you tell us a little bit more about how listeners can connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to my website, and it is Solopreneur, which is SOULO, and then PRENEUR. So it's solo, SOULO, PRENEUR. And there's all kinds of ways that we can connect there. We do lots of things over on that website. And yeah, I will have this conversation with anyone who will listen.
Love
Well,
it.
this was the perfect place to have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank
Joy.
you both. Yeah,
It
thank you.
was so
And you know what?
fun.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. I see it like a conga dance, It's like just you guys keep
Join
dancing
the
and people
line.
they'll they'll grab onto the shoulders. They don't even know why. That's what happens, right? When you're around fun.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
I love that image. It's like worldwide come to line. Let's
We
do
could use
it.
that one in our marketing. Just saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Thank you both.
All right, so that was the conversation with Joy. Wasn't that amazing?
oh my God, it was so great. And I feel so uplifted.
Me too. So, for everyone listening, I hope this episode gave you permission to experiment, even in the smallest way, with more ease, more play, more trust in what lights you up, to plurk, to make sure you add play to your work. And
To
if
notice
something
when you
in
are having fun.
yeah, for sure. So if something in today's conversation resonated, I'd love for you to carry it with you this week. Maybe as a tiny plurk experiment of your own, and share. If you share on social media, tag us at Fun and Bliss Show, hashtag Fun and Bliss Show, so that we can see how you're sparking joy, fun, and bliss in your life. And you can find out more about Joy and her work in the show notes. And if you enjoyed this episode, if it moved you, and if you can think of somebody who needed to hear this, please share it with them so that they can have more fun and play in their lives. As Joy was saying, we really this is something that's so important for the whole world to know and to embody. I mean, literally, it could cause world peace. So please share it with anyone who you think would appreciate it. And until next time, keep having fun, keep playing, keep doing your bliss disciplines. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Fun and Bliss Show.
Where fun is our practice.
And bliss is our lifestyle.
If this episode sparked your joy,
Share it, subscribe, and join the movement.
stay fun,
Stay blissful.
and see you next time.